Welcome to another edition of Cadence Fishing TV. I'm Ian Gordon, and today I'm going to focus on a few casting tips, spey casting, using single spey cast and circle C. I'm going to start with a single spey cast, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a shooting head. I've got one of our shooting heads on here. It's a 38-foot shooting head, and it's on our 13-foot 6 rod. There's so much talked about different casting styles and the right and wrong way to do it. I'm of the opinion that there isn't really a right and a wrong way to do it, that there's your way to do it. And that's what I'm going to try and focus on here. So firstly, I'm going to look at the classic, what we call underhand technique. It's not a technique that I use a lot, but it's a technique that's used by many anglers and a lot of people associate with it. So what I'm going to do is just a single spey using the underhand technique. Underhand technique is classic, where the grip on the rod tends to be not like the old-fashioned traditional grip like this, but the grip on the rod is like so. So the rod pivots through that pivot point like so here. So if we look at that again, obviously with every spey cast we've got a lift, a swing and a power stroke forward. The swing is to replace the anchor. It's a nice slow lift up to this point, and you can see that the left hand is going out in a circle. I turn my body and I'm pulling it straight back into my lower torso. Now what I want to really focus on here with the difference in techniques is actually what we call the loading window. So it's how far back the rod is tracking and how much of the rod is being used. So we'll do that one again. We've got a slow lift. This is bringing the rod point and the line into the correct position. We've now got a swing. The rod drops, line anchors in the correct place, and the rod's now ready to make its forward cast, like so. If done at the correct speed, we're going to see this. And I've seen a lot of people say to me, oh well, but I can't do it that way. I tend to use more of my upper hand. That's absolutely fine. This particular line on this particular rod, I would say for the classic underhand technique, where this hand is doing nothing more than lifting and falling 6 or 8 inches, I would say that this line is possibly fractionally heavy for that technique. So what I need to do to counter that, I need to use more of this part of the rod, which is pretty much exactly what our rods are about. All our rods are 6-piece, we have the ability to change the actions down here. That's something different, but classic technique. And now I'm going to show you exactly the same setup using a slightly different technique. So instead of the classic underhand, I've just tracked the rod tip back a little further there. That's all I've done. On the back swing, I've tracked it back a little further. I'm using my upper hand, but you'll now note that the rod is back in here. That gives me the ability to cast this weight of line without any problem at all. Absolutely no problem at all. So whereas with this technique, I'm stuck with one weight of line that I can cope with the classic underhand technique. Same kit, exactly the same, slightly different technique with a bit bigger D-loop, a wee bit more of a track back on the rod, and this weight of line becomes really, really easy to fish with on this rod. Now, it just so happens for this little thing that we have exactly the same rod here, but we now have a Spey line on it. So this Spey line is 52 feet long. The weight of the line doesn't really matter at this stage because I'm going to adjust my stroke length for the weight of that line. So we'll get this out first. You'll probably hear this at about 1,000,000 decibels. We'll get it out. So now we've got a 13'6" rod and we've got a 52-foot Spey line here. Now, if I were to try and do exactly the same as I was doing with the 38-foot head, then with the underhand technique, I can make it, but just make it. I lose all the speed in the line. I'm not creating enough of a bend in this part of the rod. So what I need to do is I need to track the rod a little further back. So watch it this time. Different technique. So we just throw more of the line behind us and we track the rod a little further back. Much more of what was the classic traditional Spey cast, that one. Or is it the traditional Spey cast? Because I would say that that is a modern Spey cast, that one, where we go low and the back cast is very much attached to the forward cast. So here would be the traditional Spey cast, where we lift the rod up, we track it all the way back up high behind us, and then make the forward cast again. There are so many ways of making this cast work, and it's finding your way, it's finding your technique, it's finding the rod that works for you, the action of rod that works for you, the length of casting head that works for you. They all work, but you have to find your technique. So that's it, guys. That's the first one, and that's the single Spey that we've been doing there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go with what we call a circle C. A circle C is a cast with a waterborne anchor. So instead of making a single Spey and the anchor coming through the air and landing here as part of the casting move, what we do is we do this. We replace the anchor. The anchor's now in the correct place. We then track the rod tip back as far as we need to go and then make our forward cast. And it'll work perfectly well every time. This is a really, really good cast if we want to fish with sinking lines, sink tips, big tubes, that kind of thing. However, I want to talk about the different styles associated with the cast today. Not the mechanics of the cast, but the different styles. So, basically, all we try to do with this big long one is to straighten out the line on the water so that when we come to the end of the swing, the line is all straight. I'm going to show you again. If we do this and we come too slowly back, we can see this L shape in the water. It's never going to work because we've not got our tempo right and the line was left up too far, too close to us in the first place. Tempo's wrong. I've got this L. Even though the rod's in the right place, the line is not in the correct place. That's all to do with tempo. Tempo is everything. So what we do is we get that and we pick up the tempo. And there it is. The line is now perfectly straight. The rod is in the perfect place to give me a good load on the forward cast. Tempo is absolutely key in this cast, no question at all. So first you have to get your anchor correct and then tempo. Good. Once you have that too, you can focus on stroke length. Again, this one, because it's a Spey line, it's 52 feet long, I must, and when I say must, I must get the rod all the way back here. If I don't take the rod all the way back there, I've got nothing. I've got nowhere to load that rod. The rod has to load between this point and unload there. So you have this casting window. With the longer line, you need a longer casting window to bend the rod. I'm going to go onto the shooting head now, and we'll see this. This rod, this line is exactly the right type of line to be doing this cast with. It's nice and short, so if we have like vegetation behind us, grass, overhanging trees, it's really, really good. It's a versatile bit of kit for this particular cast. It's a great cast if you've got, like I said earlier, big flies, sinking lines. But one of my top tips for this particular cast, if you're using it, is anchor placement. The biggest mistake that I see people making with this Circle C is actually where they make the circle in the first place. So they start the rod here, just parallel to the bank, and they come upstream like so, and so the line ends up like 2 meters from the bank. That's totally wrong, because if the line lands 2 meters from the bank and I've got vegetation here, it means that for me to make a D-loop, the line's in the vegetation. It's no good at all. So what I have to do to adjust for that is I have to place my anchor way out in the middle. To replace my anchor out in the middle, what I have to do is to take care of the lift of the rod. You know, I run it over the top of the bank here, and I make my circle looking completely downstream. Now the anchors are way out there. I come to here, the short line is already straight, and I don't have to take the rod anywhere near the trees. I'll do it again at proper speed. So here, there's the circle. D-loop is nowhere near the trees. It's a really, really good cast, and because I've now got a shorter line, I don't have to use that big wide open window. So if you have really bad vegetation and overhanging trees, that type of thing, then these short-headed lines are far, far better. However, there are many ways to skin the cat as well, because imagine that you have a branch of a tree that's actually going over the river, and you think, well, nobody can fish that at all. Watch. We can still do it by keeping everything very low and still get the line to move out right underneath the tree. That is all about tempo in the rod. So watch again. So we move faster, and that keeps the whole thing underneath any obstacle that's hanging over here. But the key here is tempo. If you have no obstacles and plenty of room behind, you can be long and slow. That's going to work. No trouble at all. If you have obstacles here, then you have to be low and fast. And that's still going to work. It all works. There's not one way. There's no single way that this works. Everything works. It's finding your technique, and it's finding the action of the rod that you like. It's finding the line that suits your type of fishing. That's what you're looking for. And that's where we at Cadence can help you big time.